We're back.
We are back.
Yes, Monday night, 8:30 live. Welcome, guys.
Medical intuitive guidance.
Yes,
as we are terming it at the moment.
Yes, so a lot of the stuff we do is medical intuitive. This is the same as what medical intuitives do. They get physical ailments or whatever, and then they track back to who or what it's related to. So a lot of the time, most of the time, the ailments are related to who's as opposed to what's.
Yeah.
They're related to other people, can be related to past lives and that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got any questions or if you've got any recurring problems, ailments at all, type your questions in. We'll endeavour to answer as many as we can.
Yes, we will.
But we do follow guidance here ourselves, Intuitive. So we don't answer everyone in order. We had a couple of questions. Some people said they missed out last time.
Yep.
Hi Tanu, I think it is.
Yep.
Gupta. So we do answer the questions through our own intuitive guidance. So we don't go in order. So if we do skip you, it's because we're guided to. We're just guided to answer the ones that we answer through our intuition, through our the tools that we teach you on here.
Yeah.
And this is what the whole intuitive guidance is about. It's about helping us using our intuition to guide you guys with yours. So howdy Ray, how you going, guys?
Yeah. So we do ask as well that when you ask your questions, try and be as descriptive as you can. Okay, so use your own words to describe how it feels or how it's making you feel or how you're perceiving a situation. And it's generally our intuition will then pick up on some of the keywords or the way in which you describe it. So it really helps drive how we nut things out.
Most of what we say, like basically there's only ever one problem, and that's our viewpoint. God, the universe, infinite intelligence, as we like to call it, has everything sorted out. So if we're seeing anything as bad, if we're seeing anything as wrong, that's all we've got to correct is our viewpoint on it.
Yep.
And if we correct that, if we see it, first of all, we get a healing. It automatically it changes our life. It does all sorts of things. And so it doesn't mean that everything in the world is perfect. It means the world's still evolving. The world is perfect and it's growing and it's evolving. So, and we don't just answer simple questions. This is not a tarot reading or whatever. This is more intuitive guidance. So we use your intuition and your descriptions to guide you. So we need a little bit more details, guys.
So for example, Tanu, what do you see for my business? Maybe give us a little bit more information, like about what particular area it is that you're, concerned with or questioning about. If it's that you're looking at maybe, doing something, then maybe give us sort of 2 or 3 options that you've considered, around that. And then we'll sort of, use our intuition to sort of guide through. Guide through that.
Yeah. So it's like, what do you want? What are you wanting? Yeah. So basically, the easy thing is, what are you wanting or what's bothering you? They're the 2 things that we can mainly go on.
Okay. So, Ray, good evening, Ray.
Good evening, Ray.
I have myself a very sore right shoulder, and I'd love your insight. It's really bad at work. I'm a dental nurse. I do hate my job, but this shoulder is deliberating.
So
debilitating.
Deliberating. She needs some deliberation, maybe. So Ray, the right shoulder, generally the shoulders have got like the arms. Generally, symbolically, they've got to do with your daily practices, your daily habits. And the right arm's generally got to do with males or your material, physical, daily practices. So your work, this is a classic example, your shoulders debilitating, you're not being flexible in thinking about your work. So if you hate the job, start planning on either liking it, finding out whether you like it, or start planning on looking for something else. You don't just get to the point where we chuck it all in and say, okay, I'm not doing it anymore. But your shoulders the shoulders are being about flexibility. It's about shouldering your responsibility. So you either have to change your viewpoint on it. And a big way we do this is our number 1 tool and our number 2 tool is if it feels light, it's right. Or if it feels light, it's true. The truth will set you free, or the truth will liberate you. I don't like the word
deliberating.
Free.
Maybe it's something to do with her liberation.
Interpreted
as deliberation.
So you it's about shouldering responsibilities, but it can also be about past life stuff. So if it's a soul issue, so a lot of the times there's soul issues there. So the reflection of what's happening in this life can actually be a reflection of past lives and karma, for lack of a better word, that we have with other people. So it really feels like, you're getting stuck. You're on your shoulder, on your flexibility with how you're seeing work, and how you need to deal with it. So just what we do with this is as we ask questions internally and speak about it, then the pain will get less debilitating.
So she said she's been trying to leave, but it's a long work in progress. I've been in it for 12 years.
Yeah. So it's like, first of all, trying to leave is one of the things. So we have another tool called filters. So when we say trying to leave, change that word. I'm in the process of leaving. I want to make it simple. I want to make it guided. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but sometimes you do have to do that. So you keep checking inside. So what if? So one of the ways we question is always say, "What if?" Yeah, I know. I'm getting it this is what if what if I just give it a date, give it an end date? Does that feel lighter? Does that take away some of the pain from the shoulder? And also, is what's blocking you to do with other males, either the boss, your husband, your sons, if you've got sons, your father? Are they blocking you? And it's not them directly, guys. Don't get into blame with this, please. Please don't get into blame. It's like what it is that your thoughts of what they think.
Yeah.
So it's not them directly, but it is directly to deal with them. Oh, my husband will get upset, or my dad will get upset, or the boss will get upset, or something like that. It's going to block that, and it's going to make it less flexible. You need to sort of start taking your power back. And again, there's some other issues here,
Is it a
Ray.
family business?
Yeah, there's some other issues here, Ray. That
or an uncle, maybe.
every time we touch on it, it seems to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So this could have to do with entities. It could have to do with past life stuff. It's a little bit more complicated. Maybe that's.
I hate authority.
There you go.
A strong word.
So so when you hate authority, it's that you're not being your own authority.
Yeah.
So there's your problem
There's
right
your
there.
problem.
You're not being your own authority. You're not choosing what's right for you. You're putting something else, either money, other people, family, whoever it is.
Lack
You're
of
putting
opportunity,
somebody
something.
else before you and before your authority with you and what you need to do as a soul, as an infinite being. What do you need to do for you and putting yourself first? That's why you hate authority, because you're not being your own authority.
It's something to do with family. She doesn't have any contact with family.
Okay, so maybe it's about you're making these other people family. So this is maybe why it's because you don't have contact with family. Like because I was adopted, in my younger years, everyone I came around, I made them my family. Like because
I don't have any contact with family, especially males.
And so maybe it's the boss, but maybe it's just the physical material side. So the right side also represents physical and material. And so, and it does, your arms are about, especially the shoulders, about shouldering responsibility, but also being flexible, allowing yourself to change, allowing yourself to make changes and being your own authority. If you have got a problem with authority, you're not listening to your own intuition, to your seventh chakra, to your guidance from your God self, if you want to call it that, from your higher self, whatever you want to call it. So it's about taking back your authority and being your own authority. Then other authority won't bother you. So again, there's a lot of stuff in here, right? And it's like, but we can't. Yeah, every time I hit on something, this is tied into so many things in your life, and that's why it's getting debilitating. It's so we'd have to delve deeper into it. We'd have to ask you questions. So we'll have to leave that for now, because this guys is just a little taster for us. This is our tithing that we do every week to give people samples and that other. This is our work. This is what we get paid for. So we can't just give everything away. And a lot of this stuff, I would have to work with somebody for 2-3 hours at a time, 3 or 4 times to get through to the core issues of some of this stuff.
Ari's asked is it also about receiving?
It's always about receiving. Good point, Ari. But yeah, any money problem we've got is about receiving. Nearly every problem we've got is about receiving in the Western world, at least, right? We just don't. It's about receiving ourselves. It's about receiving our own guidance. It's about receiving the strength and the courage to do what we need to do, or the strength and the courage to let shit go. It's like surrender point is the primary part of receiving. First, we have to surrender. Then we can receive the guidance and listen to the guidance. And it's tough. It's very easy technically to do. It's the easiest thing technically to do. And it's the most scary, hardest thing to do because we're so used to letting ourselves be in charge. You know, it's like, so yeah, no, that ties into the authority. It ties into receiving. It's receiving your own guidance. All right. So what do we got?
Ash has asked, can you tell me about mood swings?
Look, mood swings are basically, a lot of them have to do with our soul. So when we teach the threefold path to oneness, or the threefold way of oneness, there's the lower three chakras are all about our desires and our pleasure centers and stuff like that. The middle chakra is about the divine masculine, so that's the divine child. The divine masculine's in the heart, that's our strength, that's our lion heart. And then the divine feminine is related to the upper three chakras as a group. And that's our wisdom. That gives us our peripheral vision. That lets us see the big picture. So the mood swings are often a flick between each of those. And also a big part of the mood swings is buying into other people's stuff. So Are They My Feels, which we've got on the YouTube site. Check that one out, guys. It's our second tool. Are They My Feels? I think it's the second one.
That's number 2.
Yeah. And so a lot of the time the mood swings is just picking up everyone else's moods and not listening to your own and not doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
And also not guiding your own inner child.
Yeah.
Letting it, you got to let pleasures have their say, but you've also got to let authority in the heart have its say. You've got to let wisdom for your guidance have its say. All three aspects have got to have their say, and they're all contained within the oneness of you. Whether you call that your God self, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, they're all three aspects that we can work on from this point of view. There's many different paths, many different ways. This is the main one we use, and everything is oneness. So it's always about the way you see it. You're not aligning with infinite intelligence's vision of things.
Yeah.
So
and I guess mood swings could also be seen, it could be called mood swings. You know how we talk about the pendulum, right?
Yeah.
So if you've held back, say, on being forceful, right, in your life, not mistaking not mistaking anger for forcefulness, right?
Yeah.
You know, so if you've held back, like me, right, I'll put my fucking hand up, fuck you, right, from being forceful in your life. When you're working on that, right, and then you choose to go, you know what, fuck you, I'm gonna be forceful, you know, in this particular area that maybe I'm not forceful in, right? That could be seen as a mood swing, right? Because you'll just fucking pendulum to the other side, right? Because you've held back for so long, not being forceful and beating yourself up and thinking you're good enough and getting angry with yourself and all those reasons, right? When you burst through that barrier, you'll fucking come out swinging, right? Yeah. You'll just go out and go, oh, fucking right. And people will just go, what the fuck? And they freak out, right? But, you know, so you're saying you could be hard on yourself then for lashing out or being perceived to be lashed out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When in actual fact, it's kind of like, just like a pendulum. Like you've got to go back the other way.
You've held the pendulum up this side for so long, and it's going to swing equally to the other side.
Into balance, right? So you've got to give yourself permission for a little bit, right? I'm not saying do it for
so if you haven't been your own authority for a long time when it comes to your friends or socially or work or something, and you decide to be your own authority and stand up for yourself, at first it's going to come out a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And if you can give yourself permission for that and not call it anger, it'll feel like anger, it'll sound like anger. Yeah. But if you look at the intention behind it, you're just trying to take back control of being your own authority. So it's like, that's often what the mood swing is. You let yourself go, no, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. And then as it starts to come out, because you have been holding it back for so long, it comes out with, like, instead of just forceful and confident, it comes out forceful and it looks like anger. So then we judge the anger and we pull ourselves back. And that causes, as John was saying, that's a massive mood swing. That's like, it's not letting the pendulum go the other way because you're judging that as too harsh. If you tell yourself, yes, short term, it's going to be like this. Yeah. So, if I do it, maybe for a week, I'm going to fucking just tell everyone to go get fucked and whatever. Yeah. But it's not really coming from that anger. That's coming from the need to change. It's coming from that real need and desire to change. Yeah. And you can check yourself on it. It's like, does it want to stay there? You can use if it's light, it's right. Is this a pendulum? Ask the question. Yeah. And does it feel lighter? Okay, I'm going to give myself permission to be a little bit harsh, and I'll explain that to people. Sorry, I'm a bit harsh, but I fucking need to do this because I've been holding back for too long. Yeah. It's not your fault, but sorry, it just has to come out this way short term. I'm sure I'll come into it very soon.
Yeah, it kind of comes about. Ari's asked, is it about understanding how you feel? It kind of is, right? But as John said, you need to kind of check to see if you find that you're doing that mood swing in one particular area, say, right? Just again and again and again, and you're constantly going, why am I having this mood swing in this one area?
Yeah.
Maybe that's trying to tell you.
Look at which mood it is.
Yeah. Hey, in this area, yes, you're holding back, and when you push through, you're interpreting that as a mood swing, right? But it could also just be that you're having mood swings, right? And you're picking up on other feelings, which was our other tool, right? Being you, tool number 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Are they mine, right? Sorry, not tool number 2. Are they my feels? If you're an empath, like most of us, you're going to pick up on everyone's feelings, right? And really depending on where you're at, and again, your soul might just be going, fuck you, why aren't you doing something about, picking up all these feelings, right? And that might be causing the mood swings, right? Your soul just might be going,
yeah, it might be just everyone else is doing to you what you're lashing out occasionally. So if everyone else is getting envy or jealous of you, right, and you might not know it, it might be your family, the close people around you, they're getting jealous of you, and you get enough of it, and then you just burst out in a jealousy mood or an envy mood. But these can be a good thing, is what we're saying here. Is like, if you catch where you're being envious, if you're being envious of anyone, you're going to hold back your success. You're going to hold back your guidance from God. If you're using jealousy, these are really, really valuable tools if you use them properly. Look if you're jealous. Look if you're angry and they're envious. And they're feelings, so they're hard to catch, right? They're really fast. They're really fleeting at times. But once you start noticing them, they're blindingly obvious and they're fucking as loud as shit. But, but at first, because they're feelings, not thoughts, they're not as words as much. There's a feeling of envy. There's a feeling of jealousy there. That's telling you, first of all, it's your soul saying that's a possibility for you. Then your intellect will probably jump in and go, I can't do it, I haven't got enough money, or I'm not lucky enough, or blah, 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 blah. It'll say a million things. That causes the envy or the jealousy to increase. But it's also could be just the opposite of that, which is just showing you that other people are envious and jealous of you, and you can't work it out because whatever you do well is totally natural to you. So we often, the things we do the best and the things we follow guidance with, we do them so naturally that we don't value them. And it's like, but other people see it and go, oh, I wish I had that. And they get their envy and jealousy. So it feels like both of these things. It feels like a lot of it is return to sender. And the other half, it's a message for you. It's your soul trying to tell you the envy, the jealousy, the negative emotions that we have are actually a sign that we're supposed to be able to have what we're getting envious about, but not the way or not. So some people get their money through greed and through sheer willpower. We don't want to do that. We want to do it through grace in perfect ways, as we say. We go, bring me that through grace in perfect ways, so I don't stuff up my karma or anyone else's karma. I just, I don't want to use. You can use your willpower, and you can get all of this stuff like law of attraction stuff. You can get it through sheer willpower, but you'll never be really happy with it. You'll be happy short term, and it'll just fade out.
So leading on from this, Ash is saying, so it puts a lot of strain on relationships, and that she says that she's seen as moody. She kind of feels like she is, but she also feels like it's because she's not listened to. So the not listened to part, right, is one of our other tools. If you see it, it's in you, right? So you're picking up, that you're not listened to by other people, right? And so you then got to turn that around back on you, right? And sort of say, okay, well, where am I not listening to myself? What part of myself am I not listening to myself on? So
is my emotions not being listened to, my inner child? Is my heart not being listened to? My courage, my strength, my masculine? Is my wisdom not being listened to? Is one part of that not listening to the other? Or are the three of them not listening to my divinity or my God self, or my higher self? So there's a distinct correlation between what's happening on the outside and what's happening on the inside. All the work is to be done on the inside. If you do it on the inside and you get it right, it fixes the outside, and when it comes from the outside, it stays. It does it, and it's satisfying. But we can use our willpower. All this stuff can be done through sheer determination and willpower, but it's never long-term satisfying. These people who do it that way, they've always got some sort of fear functioning in the background. But when you do it naturally through reflection, through seeing this stuff, then it's a challenge to work with, but the reward is just astronomical. Okay, so what else?
Okay, where are we? I'm just scooting through some of the comments. Where are we?
Good evening, Andy. Good evening,
evening,
guys.
Andy.
We've got quite a few
Hey,
on tonight.
Sharon.
So, guys, just reiterating, we go through the questions. We don't take them one at a time.
Yeah.
We take them through guidance and intuition. We're being guided which ones to talk about because they match with our particular technique. There's many paths, one destination. Oneness, God, self, whatever you want to call it, is the one destination for everyone, ascension. But there's many different ways. And the particular way that we teach the threefold way to oneness. That's our primary focus. And so we reflect on a lot of the questions that reflect on that.
Okay. Andy. Hey, Andy. Andy says, what is my problem? Why do I get cheated on? Am I not good enough? I always get left behind or put in the back pocket. So there's a few things there.
Yeah, there's a few things. There's a few things that stand out straight away. First of all, you don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You got bad solutions. So we never have a problem. Everything that we got that's not working for us is a bad solution. It's not a problem. The solution you've got is you're trying to be. It looks like you're trying to be helpful and you're trying to care and you're getting what we call fixer-uppers. And you get in there and you go, I'll help them love themselves or be happy, and they'll help me be more controlled and stable or something like that. There's many different helpers or fixer-uppers, and you're getting cheated on because you're cheating on yourself. That's the basic way of putting it. You're cheating on yourself. You're not acknowledging your good points. You're not following through on what you need to do. You're cheating your own divinity. You're cheating your own intuitive guidance, your higher self. You're cheating it by not acknowledging it, by not giving yourself enough credit, by not giving yourself enough time and space to actually develop it. Sometimes we jump into relationship after relationship. We're going to keep getting cheated on because we haven't fixed the problem. The pattern is inside of us, always, 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 always. The pattern, if it's whatever's happening outside, it's inside of us somehow. There's a symbolic representation. It's not the same thing the cheating on is cheating on your own intelligence, cheating on your own goodness, cheating on what's rightfully yours. Trying to make everybody equal.
Like for me, I've chosen for, now over a year, right, to not have relationships with females. Okay. So I got to a point where I couldn't understand what was going on, and I couldn't understand why relationships weren't working out for me and whatnot. And rather than still try to fumble my way through, accepting partners that were less than or were not that I wanted just because I wanted to be with someone or I wanted to be happy, right? And then finding, as John said, so I was cheating on myself by not acknowledging who I wanted or who I am, right? And who would match me at that point, right? And then as I've changed, my version, this version of me changes, and so then the partner that I want would then be this version, and then I change again and I'll change again. So rather than try to figure out any of that, I just chose to put it to the side and work on myself.
Sometimes you just got to go, okay, that's too hard basket for now. Work on other aspects. But you've given away some. You said you always get left behind and put in the back, right? So this is classic soul talk. They're the words that come from our soul. From each of us, our soul feels like it gets left behind and put in the back. So our soul often in the early days relates to the lower three chakras. It's actually our whole self, but we hear it mostly through the lower three chakras, which is our wants and our desires and things like that. And it feels like it's getting left behind all the time because you don't put your needs and your feelings, or it's your soul's needs and your soul's feelings in there enough. And there's a thing called the darkness of the soul and the dweller on the doorstep. That's the thing that keeps our soul from rising up. When our soul rises up into the heart and meets with the Father in the heart, that's when we become fully enlightened or whatever. So the rising of the soul is part of it is listening to the soul. We listen to our head too much and we don't listen to the soul. But the soul's also got to listen to the God self or the higher self, which it can get a little bit confusing at times. So when we run this course, this is like a 3 to 6 month course. So don't try and understand it too much, guys, because it's really hard to wrap your head around. But the simple thing is, oneness is the answer. So your God self is there, but your soul wants expression. And this is probably what you'll find is that it's multiple lives. This has been the same pattern that's been happening life after life after life.
I'm afraid of being left to live this life alone.
Yes, but that's what you're doing to your soul.
That's what you're doing to your soul right now.
That's what you've been doing to your soul by not acknowledging its feelings, by not acknowledging, letting it like express itself, letting it have some of the desires and that, not completely let it go out of hand like some people do, and that can be just as detrimental. But you've got to give it a good fair share. 1/3 of the time, 1/3 of the actions need to be for our pleasures and for our enjoyment, as well as 1/3 for our wisdom and 1/3 for our courage, our power.
Ash, what did you guys say to check out earlier? I can't remember.
I
think it feels as though it was whether you were pendulum or not in the mood swings, just to check to see if the mood swing or the outburst, right? For lack of another word, is actually a positive.
So
right?
when you say, so is that a positive? You'll feel lighter, or and sometimes when you feel really light, you get so light it feels like you can't feel nothing. But that's because it's so light, it's so accurate, it's so on the mark that it almost feels like nothing. But often it can be both sides. It can be, so half of it is return to sender, what we call, are they my feels, everyone else's you're picking up. And the other half is that it's your soul and your God self trying to get you back in charge and get you back in authority. So if you've been holding yourself back through, political correctness or something for a long time, you're going to get very politically incorrect for a fucking few months or a few weeks, and you're going to start and you're going to burst out. But if it's temporary, if you can give yourself permission to do that, and then the pendulum will come back very quickly. So if it's anger, if you've seen anger as bad, anger's a good. It's a fire. It's a spark. It's a solar plexus. So it sparks the fire, but you're supposed to bring it up to the heart to let it be guided, not let it burst out in every direction, So let it bring you up, let it bring you to transformation, make you determined, but not make you an arsehole. Right?
Yeah. And when you do pendulum, right, and it's positive and you can see that you're doing it, don't then go and beat yourself up for doing that, right? And feeling bad because you let shit come out of your mouth or just
apologize in a moment. Just say,
look,
right? Sorry guys, I've just held back for too long. And this is just, it's bursting out because it's been suppressed for so long. It won't keep going like this. If it does, sorry. See you next life.
Otherwise, you just create a whole bunch of new problems, right? A whole bunch of new judgments that you need to fucking undo.
See you in the next life. If it pisses them off enough and they can't accept your apologies, that it's just a short stage you're going through because you've suppressed that particular aspect of yourself for too long, then they're people that should move on anyway. So if we get pissed off, the meridians, my bladder meridian today and that, because I've shifted a few things. We just did a 10-day spiritual retreat, personal one between the two of us, and it brought up some really big, deep issues.
Deep shit,
fears that I had that I couldn't even see because I consider myself pretty fearless, right? And it's like, and it really caught me off guard. But it's like now the bladder meridian and the kidney meridian, they're getting stronger. My back's getting straighter. It's fixing up my shoulder. So that, when you're getting pissed off, there's your bladder meridian. That's your bladder and kidney. So fear is a relationship to that. So ultimately, you have no fear. Ultimately, the real you, the God you, the higher self, whatever name you want to give to it, it doesn't have no fear. It's an infinite being, infinite divinity being, as we call it now. And it's like,
an IDB.
The truth is that the true real you has no fear. It doesn't give a shit about anything. So whenever you're functioning from fear, that's a false, it's a program, it's a paradigm that you've bought into or you've allowed to be imposed upon yourself. And it's like you can catch that. So rushing around is a fear. It's a fear of not enough time. So it's like if fear is controlling you, you're in duality. You're in the duality world. You're not in the oneness world. And so you can just simply break all of this down to that. Am I functioning from fear? Or am I functioning from courage or above? So the minimum level of oneness is courage. That's the lowest level of oneness. Then you've got, love, you've got hope, you've got faith, you've got truth, you've got guidance. All these things are all in oneness. Anything below that, negative emotions, worry, jealousy, anger, envy. They're all duality. They're all created by man, and they're not real. They're created. They're not the real. God, the universe didn't create any of those things. We as man created them. They're like a virtual reality. We've got our VR goggles on and we're buying into it. I'm so scared.
And they're not to be looked at as wrong.
No.
Right? But without them,
they just suck.
Yeah, they fucking suck, right, at times, right? So, but without that half of the spectrum, you don't see the other half of the spectrum, right? So without seeing and going through jealousy and envy and hate, you don't get to see, you know, love and compassion and all the other things,
Yeah.
and courage, right? So don't see them as wrong.
Yeah.
Just see them for what they are.
See them
right?
as not working for you anymore.
They're just
You
not
know?
working for you anymore.
It's like they might have had a purpose before to make you, to drive you, to make you motivated. You know, it's like Abraham Hicks calls it, you know, the contrast, right? So it gives you enough drive and motivation to make some changes.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you keep functioning from that and you keep going back to the fears, the worry, you know, it's like that's not the true you. You know, and most people haven't even really ever seen the true them. You know, when you see the true you through your own eyes, when you look down the side of your arm, you use your peripheral vision, you're like, holy shit, is that my body? Is that me, really? It's like you look at yourself and like, it's like, and you feel it. You feel alien for a moment.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, who the fuck's been in charge of my body?
Where the fuck have I been all this time?
Where have I been all this time? But who's been fucking around with my house?
I was sitting down in the coffee shop a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this that I'm in? This is fucking weird. This body. What is this body?
Who's been fucking around with
And
my
I'm
house?
looking around. I'm looking around. I'm looking at Johnny. He goes, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just feel like I'm a fucking alien." And then it occurs to him, I'm like, who the fuck are all these people around me? Who are these people? Where'd they come from?
That's your real self. When your real self comes in through, you know, some people call it Satori, some people call it the observer. When the real self comes in and you're actually seeing from the real self, we can channel the real self all the time. It's always there. It's the thing that never changes. But when you're in that space, you feel quite alien when you first come into it. You know, up until somewhere between 5 and 7, you're in it all the time, right? Since then, we programmed ourselves out of it, or we were programmed out of it. And, you know, this is why they call it, you know, the return of the innocence. This is why they call it, you know, born again. All these words are referring to this. It's the real self coming back. The real self is fearless. The real self has no fear. Call it the God self. Call it the higher self. Call it the infinite self. Whatever you want to call it. The rest of it is our duality self. It's our split self. You know, it's not actually real, but we've created it as real. It affects us very real.
Yeah.
Fear and worry will affect you in a very, very real way, but they don't have to be real. If you get into oneness, if you get into the real self and just look and observe, then they will just dissipate. And it's not like they'll go away where they're gone. The fear doesn't pop in or problems don't pop up. Problems will come, but you'll just look at them and you just laugh. People go, oh, yeah, going bankrupt. It's like, yeah, cool. Where do I sign? Thanks for that. Awesome. You know, it's like, you know, getting kicked out.
Thanks for the gift, God.
Getting kicked out of your house. It's like, yeah, sweet. Something else is going to come.
Something else is coming.
Something else is going to come good. You know, that's going to drive me into another thing that's much more positive, much more better. You know, this is when we're seeing from our God self. This is how it happens. It's like one of the courses I did called Access. Their main saying was, "All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory." So that's all of life, you know, the good stuff, the beautiful stuff, the shit stuff, the crappy stuff. You just receive it all with ease and joy and glory. You're like, yep, cool, fucking okay.
Mad.
Just got kicked out of my house, don't know where I'm going to live, but hey, I'll make the best of this too. And fucking, you know, something else will pop up. The universe is always guiding me.
Finally, I'm getting out of my own way. Finally, I can get out of my own fucking way and let the universe deliver what I've been asking for the last 20 years.
Sometimes, you know, I struggle with part of our retreat that we just did for the last 10 days up until last week. That's why we went on. You know, we saw some really big stuff on a soul level. We really had some big chats with the soul, which really kind of freaked me out a bit.
Still freaking me out.
Even after 25 years, when I first spoke to my soul 25 years ago, and it spoke loud from my gut. This is a whole nother, you know, when your soul speaks, in the early days at least, it'll speak from your gut, from your lower 3 chakras. And it's like, and it can talk like your head can. And, you know, when I had my motorbike accident and had a near-death experience with that, and it spoke, it freaked me out. I was like, how does words come out of my gut? You know, so, but our soul can speak from that, and our soul speaks to us as well as our mind, as well as our heart. You know, so these things, but they're all part of us. The real self, they're all just different aspects of the true oneness, the real self, the God self, the infinite being that we are. They're all aspects of that. So they all belong to me. They aren't me, but they're mine. That's my mind. It's my heart. It's my gut. It's my soul. It's my spirit. But who's the my that's speaking?
Yeah.
That one that says my soul, my infinite spirit, you know, my body. That's the one that's fearless. The other ones, when we buy into the other ones, we get into the emotions, we get into our, you know, desires and stuff like that, and we buy into them. That's when we get suffering and things like that. Okay, so what do we got?
I keep going back to, it's a continuation of the relationship thing. There's a comment up here. Where is it? by Sharon. Hey, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Single for 9 years. Hard for me to trust myself to choose someone who treats me right. After years of abusive relationships, I really struggle to put myself out there. Sometimes it's easier not to bother. Any suggestions?
Look, yes, it sounds like you've got two things going on. You're not a Gemini by any chance, are you?
We love Geminis.
We love Geminis. We've both got one child each of the
Love you,
Geminis.
Geminis.
They push our buttons a little bit.
Yeah,
But they're, on the positive, they're very good at weighing up both sides. On the positive, they can really see both sides of an argument, and that really can work well. On the negative, they overanalyze and they keep seeing both sides of an argument, but never make a choice. So, but
heads, not tails, not heads,
like
not tails.
One of the things I'd say, Sharon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is first of all check: do you want to even be in a relationship?
Yeah.
It's like. I've got a friend of mine. Lucky he doesn't listen, so I can speak about him. But
I love these personal stories.
Every time I spoke to him the other day, he gets out, like he gets single, and he's like, yeah, everything's going great. And then after 6 or 12 months, he's like, I'm fucking bored. I need to be in a relationship. And he gets in a relationship, and that works for about 6 months. And then he's like, fucking, I should have stayed single. And this shit's been going on every 2 years for the last fucking 15 years. Man.
Tails. Tails.
It's like, I said to him, do you feel like you're on a roundabout sometimes, bro? It's like, just keep going around the same thing. So maybe you don't want to be. Maybe you need to check what you're saying there, because I don't really actually, I don't really get that you're actually frightened or what you said. Like the real self is not frightened. Maybe you're being smart. Maybe you're working on yourself. And maybe you need to...
maybe it's a fail-safe. Maybe it's a soul fail-safe. Your soul's holding you back, right?
Don't tell me that.
Maybe there's something to learn.
Our souls can set up fail-safes before we come into this life to stop us from getting into things, to sort of steers us into something else. But one of the things I say is you've got to get your relationship right with you. Get your relationship, your masculine, feminine, your inner child all together as a beautiful family, being guided by God. That's our threefold way to oneness. That's the way we explain it. So your masculine and feminine, your left and right have to get married. Your soul, your inner child has to come up and be a beautiful family within inside of you. And they all are guided by God, by infinite intelligence. They're divided by truth and love and nature, if you want to call it that, if God's too much. For a lot of people, God throws them off. So, but the universe, there's force, if you want to, they're guided by the force, if you want to say it like that. But you need that relationship. You won't get, you've probably got a fail safe, as John was saying, because you haven't finalized that.
I mean, you said it like for me, looking at it in that three-part way, okay, the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine child, right? Yeah. In that context, when you read, it's hard for me to trust myself to choose someone who treats me right. Yeah. Okay, who treats me right? Yeah. And then trusting that. Yeah. That treats me right. In the context of, is the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine child, firstly, are the feminine and masculine treating each other right? Yes. Are the feminine and the child, the masculine and the child treating each other right? Are all three treating each other right? So that's where we start.
Yeah. So the divine feminine relates to the upper three chakras, which is the wisdom, which the feminine relates to I've got the tattoos on my arm, but I won't show them now. The lion, the lamb, and the peace dove. So the wisdom, the feminine aspect is our peripheral. So if you're using your eyes on this, is a scientific level, the peripheral vision is related to the feminine aspect, was related to the creative aspect in the mind. The masculine, the focus part, the one where we use the rods in our eyes, that's the masculine. So that's the divine marriage. That's what we're supposed to have. That's supposed to happen in the heart. When the divine masculine, divine feminine actually agree and start working together instead of fighting with each other, instead of arguing, and then what I didn't do 25 years ago was the third aspect, the divine child. I cut off my emotions and I cut off my own desires and my own feelings, right? So when the marriage happens and you get the unity between the left and the right in the heart, then they're supposed to bring the child in and guide the child. Let the child have pleasures. Let the child have fun, not just be so sometimes we'll get this unity between the left and right, between the masculine and feminine, but then they become like these dictator parents who send their child to boarding school or something, right? And it's like, and they don't let the child have any aspects. So a lot of times, most people don't even get the male female. If you look at your relationship, if you look at all of your previous relationships, I can guarantee you the same pattern that's going on in that went on in them is going on inside of you between your own masculine and feminine aspects. So you can call it the left and right hemisphere of the brain. That's the masculine and feminine. But the third aspect is the inner child, is our soul, is our pleasures, and how we want to express ourselves in life. So sometimes we'll get the relationship between the masculine and feminine going, but then we just block the child out. We tell the child, you sit down, mum and dad are going out dancing every night, and you can stay home with the fucking nanny.
And that can be a good way to start for those of you that are looking to try to work on your divine feminine, divine masculine. Look at your previous relationships and look at what you felt in your words, the way you describe it, didn't work, right? Between you and your partner, right? Whether you're a female and a male or you're a male and a female, right? Yeah. Write those things down. And they don't necessarily have to be exactly the same within you, but it could potentially, symbolically they're the same in you,
Yeah,
so if that can be a good way to kickstart that process, right? And then using tool number 1 to check, and then check, right? Don't just assume because that's happening out. That could be a pattern in the partner's relationship.
It could be something playing past out life or karma too. So don't automatically.
But it's a good starting
check
point,
after you get these answers, after you work this out. Check, does that feel light? Does that make me relax and expand? Does that feel light? So if you're looking at it, if you're in a relationship where you gave. If you're a male and you let the woman control the money or whatever, or or the woman was bossy, or vice versa, the male just wouldn't listen at all. The male aspect is your heart, is your courage. The feminine aspect is the wisdom, is the thoughts. So if your ideas, your thoughts are controlling all of your money or bossing you around and won't let you have fun, this is not letting you have fun. Is the inner child. So look at these dynamics in the relationships, especially if you've had similar dynamics, where you feel like, that you can't have fun, or it's all serious, or this or that. That's going to be happening inside of you most of the time.
I think one of the ways you described it was having many abusive relationships. Right. So that abusive word really jumped out at me, right? And so then you can start to check and see what aspects between your divine feminine and divine masculine are being abusive, within you, right? Not in the same area. I don't mean physically abusive, right? But in what way are they potentially being abusive to each other? And
so if the masculine's being abusive, maybe you're a strong heart-led person. And you're being abusive to your own emotions, or you're being abusive to your own wisdom, and you're just going, no, shut up, I don't care about that, I'm just fucking going to do it, just going to soldier through, power through, and that's abusive to the thoughts. The wisdom needs to have a bit of time to contemplate too, as well. The heart needs some time to just, express itself.
I'm getting this feeling of, holy fuck, this is confronting. It is fucking confronting.
It's the most confronting shit you'll ever do, because
I just get this picture of everyone just going,
it's real as shit. It's
real
fucking
as shit. Confronting.
It's like you're going to go inside and you're going to see that inside and outside are just reflections of each other. They call it macrocosm, microcosm, as above, so below. Every religion has a term of this. So our universe, my universe that I live in, which is my world, which starts around about 1 meter outside of me, that's the main part of it, but it goes out a lot further than that in my consciousness. That's a reflection. So anything in the outer, what I call the outer world, that bothers me, that bugs me, that's not working right, symbolically it's happening inside as well. And if I correct it inside, outside it won't fucking bug me anymore. It just won't.
You just see
and
it.
Most of the time you won't even see it, but even if you see it, you just laugh at it. You just go like,
they used to piss me off.
It's like, all these angry people used to piss me off. Now I just laugh at them going, how's that working for you guys? It's like, so once you correct the pattern inside, once you see it symbolically, this is why we do this threefold way to oneness. So that, because I did of oneness. Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's like, so the masculine and feminine, they call this the divine marriage, the holy marriage in the heart. But then you've got to come up to the family. And the family unit has to be guided by the true self, by the God self. And so that each aspect, the wisdom, the feminine can take its guidance from the force, the masculine from the force, and the child. They can all have their individual expressions. They're all allowed an equal part of your perfect life expression. But just look at the relationships. They will just tell you your relationships. If you've got kids, what's your relationship dynamic with you and the kids? Do they never listen to you? Do they, do they freaking go on and off all the time? They try really hard.
Do you buy them things to shut them up?
Do you buy them things to shut them up? And then, you look at your own inner child, your own pleasure centers, right? Do you buy your own pleasure centers to shut them up? So when your own emotions are whinging, what do? You go, oh, okay, go to the pub, give it a drink, or fucking what, some chocolates or fucking lollies or whatever, you know? Do you bribe your own emotions, you know?
Helen's like, I'm exhausted thinking about it. Maybe that's true what I was picking up. It's fucking, it can be, it's fully, when you start to just look at everything that's going on in your life and how that's reflective of what's going on in you, your fucking head just goes.
Temporarily, it's exhausting, and it is, because this is the hardest work. It's simple. It's very simple. It's very confronting. It's very fucking tough. And it's like, but the changes that it will cause, it will be exhausting short term. The changes that it will cause, you will just won't even recognize yourself. You know, it's like you'll look back and old photos a couple of years ago. Was that me? Did I used to do that? Right? You'll just look at like. You'll look at yourself previously in this life, and you'll think it's from a previous life or somebody else that you're looking at. You know? So it's like when you change these patterns, then you just change one little one at a time, right? Change the easiest ones first. Yeah. Because then you see the effect of it, and you see that one little change where you stop doing that inside, and it doesn't bother you outside anymore. You know, if it's driving in the car, you know, for me it was just like roundabouts used to piss me off all the time, right? I go, why do I still get angry at roundabouts? You know.
Fuck yeah, Helen. I thought it wasn't too bad until I started listening to you two. Welcome to my world. I listen to this guy every fucking day. Oh, have you checked on that? You point this out? Like, fuck off, man. Can't I just have a day off? No.
It's just 10 minutes before the live. I didn't think you was going to be able to cope for the live. pushing some buttons there.
It's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I used to get annoyed at roundabouts. You know, fucking why do I still fucking yell at roundabouts when cars don't go through? I'm like, okay, so break it down. What are they doing? And I said, well, and I just let myself get sort of annoyed and say it how I would say it, instead of trying to be rational about it, instead of trying to be wise about it. I said, how would I say it? Well, the fucking rules are simple. If they just go 1, 1, 1, 1, everything will flow and everything will move much better. And I'm like, okay, there it is. There's your answer. So I go, so what rules are simple in my life that if I just followed them, that everything would work out better? And it's these tools that I teach. I've fucking been teaching these tools for 20 years. It's like, and I follow them on and off, on and off. It's like, so if I just follow the rules, there's one or two that I wasn't particularly following at that stage. If I just follow the rules, my life will flow and everything will work out better. And then I agreed to do that. And I said, okay, I'm going to start doing that. Might take me a while because the one particular tool I wasn't really using very much. But literally the next roundabout and the next day and the next day, I just would get there and they'd still do the same thing. And I'd just sit there and totally calm. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I've been yelling at this particular issue for 20 years. It's like, and I didn't do it at all for about 2 months. And then it came up one day after 2 months and I was like, and I was like, oh, okay. Am I not following? Which rule am I not, or which tool am I not using? And I was like, oh, that one, okay. And I agree to use it. You agree to do this stuff. So, Helen, when you're saying it's just agree to start working with it. Say thank you to yourself. Say thank you to the body. Thank you to your wisdom for listening to this show and having the courage to stay here. You know, people are bailing out by the dozens.
We start hitting some fucking truth. We get numbers just go.
You watch the numbers drop off when we hit these truths, man. They just
fucking pussies.
We got 50 or down to 20. Just like, you know, people don't really want to do this work, but it is quite simple, guys. And once you agree to do it, that's 90% of the work. You just agree, go, okay, that's obviously there. I'm going to start working on how to work with that. I'm going to start looking at that. You're going to start. You've got to use these words as I'm saying them. Not I'm going to do it, because that's a lie. And the true self does not work off lies. This is, we call it make it genuine. You've got to be genuine. So you've got to make your words match the genuineness. So, okay, this is fucking going to be tough, but I'm going to start doing it. I don't know how. I don't know, but now that I've seen it. I haven't seen it clearly, but I've seen it. That's there. I can feel it. It's fucking tearing out of me right now. I'm going to start working on it. I don't know how. And then literally that can be all it takes for most of these things. Sometimes that's all it takes and it fixes itself. Other times you do have to work with it more and you've got to see it coming up depending on how deep it is. And, you know, and sometimes it's just, if these things and these tools aren't working, guys, this is another really big one. If it's not working and you're doing all the stuff right, don't assume that you're doing it wrong. Don't assume you've got a problem. This has been it's been a nightmare in my life for the last 20 years. Karma, when you get to forgiveness, when you get to liberty, the crown chakra, karma doesn't affect you anymore. Doesn't mean you don't have karma anymore. It just doesn't affect you. It doesn't bother you. It's like but it's still got to play out, and we don't know what that is because that's got to involve the whole universe. And there's currently a 7 point something billion people on the planet. Plus, we've all had fucking thousands of lives. And karma's got to work all that shit out. So don't even try and go there.
Leave that shit to the angels.
Just leave that shit alone. But if you're doing everything right, if you feel like you're doing it all right, say, am I doing it all right and it's not working? Is that just because this is how it's supposed to be for now? And that can give you some amazing grace. You know? That can give you really a lot of peace and grace if you do that and you use this tool. Okay, so I'm doing it all right. Yes. Okay, so it's just not meant to work out just yet. This is God or the universe working the karma out. So just check on that, guys. Always check on that, please, because that's caused a lot of suffering in my life for the last 20 years unnecessarily. Forgot to check on that one. It's like, because sometimes you've got a big mission, you've got a big job. It's going to bring up, you're going to go through big issues in your life. If you're going to make a big impact on the world in a positive way, then it's probably going to bring up, you're probably going to have to go through a few challenges to build up the resilience and the strength. So
Helen, we live in Docklands. We do sessions from our new office, our new shop, which is in Chapel Lane.
Chapel Street.
Just Chapel Lane off Chapel Street in South Yarra. So if you want details, just there's the links on the top of the live, the website, beakwest.me, or our Facebook page. Just jump on.
I'm at the shop. I'm at the shop 5 days, Monday to Friday, from 10 till 5. So I do sessions in there as well. We're just starting to build the stock up and stuff. So, or we do online sessions for people. So we do one-on-one readings or two-on-one readings, depending on what you want. Also do healing and stuff like that. So usually if I do a one-on-one session with me, I incorporate healing, a bit of meridian balancing, chakra balancing, a bit of a mixture of all of it. But yes, we do have a shop in South Yarra, in Victoria, Melbourne, and which has only just been open for a week or so. So and we've got classes. We do Tuesday night. We do meditation class tomorrow night at the shop. Until it gets too big for the shop. And then we're going to do a Thursday night class pretty soon where we're going to teach these tools. The tools will be, the intuition guidance. So we'll call it intuitive, intuitive guidance class or something like that.
We'll let our intuition tell us.
We'll call it a name that we don't know what it is just yet. But yes, we do it live. We've got the shop there in South Yarra, Victoria. So you can come along to there, or you can click on the website. And we can do online ones through Zoom or whatever. We can do face to face.
Yeah, we've also got some client sessions, so intuitive sessions that we recorded with permission of some of our clients. I think there's about five or six videos on YouTube that you can go if you're interested in having a session with us, a 2-on-1.
And you're wondering what it's like.
And you're wondering what it's like, because it can be a little bit difficult to explain sometimes.
Very, very difficult to explain.
So what we generally do is we'll give the playlist link and we'll go, okay, go watch these, right? And you can get a feel for the style. It's like this. We'll start with a question, but it's just you and us. Right.
The five examples we've got on there are all very different. So it's like they vary so much. Some people it's just working through the one issue over and over again from various different ways. Other people it really expands. But usually the results afterwards, just even if it is just that one issue, that can change so much in people's lives. And the healing that you can get from working out what these issues are inside, all the answers are inside of us, for ourselves, for my world, for my universe. All the answers are inside, and all the problems are inside. And so if we can point to them, if we can see them, and then once we see them, we surrender them up to be dealt with. That's our job, is to see them and surrender them up and ask for assistance. We don't have to fix them. We can't fix them. You don't go to the doctor. You don't go, okay, I've cut my arm. I better stitch it up before I go to the doctor, right? But you've got to recognize you've cut your arm and go to the doctor and get in help. So this is what the intuitive guidance is, to recognize the issue, to ask for help on that issue. Some of them we can do general stuff. You can just ask for all of it to be fixed, and a lot of them will. But some of them we have to see. That's part of our soul's plan.
And some of them you have to see many times.
Some of them have many layers.
Some of them you'll hit on, and you'll just continually refer to them as the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, exactly. Some issues just tie into so many things, because if your soul's as old as mine, it's like 48,900 years old. That's how many years I've been in a body on this planet. So I'm a bit of a slow learner, apparently. So, and it's like all those lives can be repeat issues that go on through all of them. So it doesn't mean it's not to do with this life. The one in this life is bringing it up, but sometimes you just got to go, and if that relates to any other life, can I heal it? And you just ask. But the willingness and the openness when you ask is what starts the healing. The grace, the gift of God, the force, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, that's the thing that heals.
And you're giving God or your higher self or spirit, infinite spirit, whatever you want to call it, you're giving it permission.
Alignment,
because you're asking.
The alignment or the attunement is what heals. So when we're in line with the universe, with the force, with infinite intelligence, with God, that alignment, it's like a wheel alignment, then everything gets healed, or it's like tuning a guitar. But we do these things to bring ourselves into bringing ourselves to the tuner, to the wheel aligner,
to the repairer.
To the repairer. God is the doctor. We don't fix ourselves, but we've got to recognize
that
we need to go to the doctor. It's like, so. These are what we use these tools for. These are not for you to fix yourself, and they're not for you to judge anyone else. And it can be very difficult when you see this. You can get very judgy. We get very judgy. We can start doing this because we go, we don't want to work on ourselves too much. And so that's a stiff shoulder. You've got a frozen shoulder. You're not being flexible. You got muscle problems. The back of your legs.
Then you become that person.
You got too much guilt about the past. It's like, look, you got some wrinkles down the front there. You're not being very joyous in your life.
The corner of your mouth's down on the left side, which means
So and that just causes way more problems for you. This is why we say we've got to check in every time. Check in. This is listening to God, listening to infinite intelligence, listening to the force. If you check in and it feels light, so you go, okay, interesting. One of the ways to say it is interesting point of view, or that's interesting. Is that true? So when we say these things, when we're asking you, check on this. That's what we're asking you when we say check on it. So when we say a question, you ask the question internally. Is what he said, is that right? And then if you feel light, if you expand, so you sit back a bit, your shoulders go back, you relax a little bit, you feel lighter, or your face lightens up, the muscles in your face lighten up. That's your yes. That's your soul and your God self connecting and going, yes, finally, we're on the fucking mark. Finally, they're listening. So that's this is why we've got the tools there on the YouTube site. We've got all the lives on there too, guys. So there's so much of this stuff. We've got 48 live shows on our YouTube, which we just uploaded the other day. We put them all on YouTube, so it's easier. So all of our lives that we've done for last year.
There's over 40 hours of lives that we've done.
All of this stuff, if you want to sort of go through any of it, just flick through. Use your intuition. Just go through. There's 40 odd of them there. Just go through, say which one feels light, and then click on that and listen to that. And it's probably going to have a lot of the answers that you're looking for. It's like we were probably talking to you and you weren't even on there. So this is one of the things you'll when you get up to the higher dimensions, when you get to the crown or above, when you get to the 8th to the 13th chakra, you start to realize there is no time and space. You can actually be at seminars that happened 10 years ago and you listen to the recording of it and they're talking to you because you were there. Your soul was there. Your infinite being was actually there. And it's like, go back through the recordings. A lot of them are meant for you. It's like, but just go through, that one. And another way of it feeling light, another word you can use. Oh, that's weird. That doesn't seem right. That's it. As soon as you say that's weird, that doesn't seem right, grab that motherfucker. Grab it really fast. Grab it, because that's it trying to tell you, right?
That's your intuition breaking through.
If you go, that doesn't make sense. That's our intuition talking right there. That doesn't seem right. That's it. Fucking listen to that word and grab onto it. It's like, whoa, that doesn't seem right. That's my intuition talking. Straight there. Have a look at that thing, whatever it is. If you go, that doesn't seem right, or that seems weird, just look at that thing, whatever it is.
Sense.
Pay attention to that.
Can't be that.
Pay attention to that thing. So it's got to be that. And if it's and the other one, we don't do any form, structure, or significance. So if people make things really significant, when somebody goes, oh, that's so significant, does that feel light or does that feel fucking heavy as shit? It's like, it's like, oh, you got to do this. Your stars are in retrograde to your moon and Uranus is falling out the back of your pants. And it's like, you better get to my class. It's like the more
What's the numbers drop now?
The more significant they get about it, the more heavier it feels like, this is why if you're following guidance, if you're in oneness, it's all supposed to be light, right? It can be very important, it can be very, very,
Profound.
but it's not significant. If it's significant, that's just duality. That's just like trying to make one thing special or whatever like that. So
All right.
anyway, guys, that's about us for this week. So
Thank you
check
very
out our
much.
website. Check out the links at the top there.
Yep.
If you want any personal bookings, you can message us on the website. Otherwise, we've got the shop in South Yarra.
I will paste the book now link.
Yep.
There you go. If you're interested, there's a link to the website.
The shop is in South Yarra in Victoria, in Chapel Street. We have Tuesday night meditation classes there tomorrow night and every Tuesday night.
Yep.
So contact us through the website or through the Facebook, and we'll see you next time we see you.
Next
Bye.
week. Later.